Welcome everyone to another episode of Concept Art with me, your host, Jason Etienne. This week we're taking a look at faces, drawing faces, the most effective ways to draw them. And there are many ways, so don't think that this is the only way. So, but hopefully it'll be helpful for you. One thing to remember, I don't show them on this video now, but it's always good to have some reference. I've been drawing for many years, but it's always good to have a little bit of reference by your side. Learn to obviously draw from life, so draw your own face, draw other people's faces, of course. I'd strongly advocate that. This week I'm just sort of teaching you some methods of how to construct a face. Before we get going though, I just wanted to stress about getting your brushes sorted. So one of the things I start here is, before you start drawing faces, doodle, try brushes, experiment. So this is just trying things out, trying the brush out, trying opacities, trying the soft brush, using the smudge tool, shifting things around, just really warming the hand up. So before you really get going with anything, warming the hand up, having a doodle, playing around. Try drawing shapes, squares, triangles, oblongs, circles. Just getting used to drawing before you leap into doing anything. So I'm just taking a little moment here just to do a little bit of doodling, and once I'm kind of happy, I'm ready for the next stage. So always remembering, when you're drawing anything like the face or bodies or anything like that, you always want to be coming back to geometric shapes, squares, circles, triangles. Using those as reference points, so not necessarily composing images out of these things, but using these as kind of reference points when you're constructing objects. So in this case it's a face, so I started off by just doing a bit of a warm-up, drawing some ovals, and then eventually I sort of come around to sort of drawing an oval. So generally it goes like this: I draw an oval, I do three lines, two going across, one going down the middle. I use these to basically divide up the face. I use this top line, as you can see there, where I've drawn some eyebrows and some eyes beneath. A triangle for the nose with a circle in it. Again, these are just really basic shapes to try and sort of create the architecture of the face. And then when I'm happy with that, I start kind of giving some shape, more organic shape to those shapes. So going from the more angular to more rounded, oval. And then I start really working into it, giving it some structure. So you can see there I'm sort of shaping in the nose. And it'll help if you're watching these videos to maybe just, go back, slow them down. Perhaps you've got a plugin on YouTube where you can slow it down, or even pause it and just have a look at what I'm doing. So you can see there, I'm just kind of, after I've kind of put the basics in, I'm giving some shape to the face, cheekbones, ears, temples, of course. The temples dip in, and then just got the sort of top of the head. So this is what you call working from the general to the specific. So once I've kind of got the structure in, then I start working into a little bit more detail. So just looking at increasing the opacity with the brush, filling in things like the eyebrows, giving some more shape to the nose and to the mouth. And again, try not to put too much detail in, just real emphasis on the structure. If there are any changes that need to be made, you can use the lasso tool or the polygonal tool to kind of cut parts of the sort of face out and paste them back in again. One thing to remember also is that faces are not perfect, they're not symmetrical. So when you are drawing, as long as you've got the basic structure, the eyes don't want to be the same. The nose doesn't want to be perfect, neither does the mouth. Everything's off center. There are experiments that are done sometimes with artists where they kind of draw one side of the face and then mirror it on the other, and it always looks a little bit odd. So everything needs to look slightly out of balance. So what I'm doing here is essentially just kind of blocking this in, but there's a after a while I start doing some shading, and I'd use one of the eyes and I kind of cut one of the eyes, paste it on the other side, and use the warp tool. That'll come in a little bit later, but so don't be afraid just to sort of chop and change elements of your drawing around, just making sure that it's kind of sketched in the necessary places. Also think about shade. Now I've got a very general kind of light on this. It's kind of coming from that character's left side, our right, as it were. So it's just something to kind of think about. There's a general kind of light source, but it's not specific. So all I'm doing here is I'm just trying to add some tonality to the face, putting some highlights in the eyes, around the eyes, just to try and give it some dimensionality. Putting some highlights in there, taking some things away, putting some things back, trying the brush, using the smudge tool. That's generally how I work. I tend to kind of keep things fluid. If something's not working or I don't feel like it's working, I'll rub it out, or I'll use the smudge tool and sort of smudge around the areas and draw back into them. You can see here I cut the nose out, tried to sort of change the shape of it, and then I just went back on it. I thought, well, it's a bit too big, it's a bit too small. So eventually I just kind of did the Control-Alt-Z, just took it back, and I thought, no, I'll just try and modify it by working into it with the brush and with the smudge tool. So again, just kind of flitting back from working on the hair, coming back to the nose. This is generally how I work. You may work differently. I tend to work on something, move away, work on another part of it, then I'll move away, then I'll work on another part, and I'll zoom out, I'll zoom in, and there's constant kind of evaluation that's going on when I'm working. I'm using parts of the drawing, copying it, pasting it. Now, when I was working on this, of course I was doing this just without looking at any reference. I was kind of working from imagination. And the purpose of it really was just to give you an idea of how to structure the face, just to sort of see what it could look like, constructed by creating an oval, dissecting the oval, two lines horizontally and one vertically. And as I mentioned before, it's always good to kind of look at reference, use reference. Try not to work from imagination. So I'm just kind of putting the finishing touches on this. Again, I'd possibly work into this more and more and more. Or I'd just leave it. Depends on what it was for. So I'm just putting some little lines in here just to sort of show the again, the sort of the light source. So where the light's coming from. It's good to think about light generally with everything that you do, even if you're doing like environment art, vehicles, props, weaponry, things like that. So here, next I'm going into doing face shapes. So I thought as a little bonus I'll just kind of stick this on top. So face shapes, it's always good to think about shapes, and again just coming back to geometric shapes. So what I'm doing here is I'm just sort of sketching out various shapes, boxes. One's kind of tapered at the bottom, one's tapered at the top, and then using that to inform your decision making when it comes to the shape of the character's face. These are also good exercises. So again, use some reference, but using that as a basis, as a stepping stone for how you proceed with the shape of the character's face. So these are some very loose sketches that I'm doing of characters. I've got my brush on quite a low opacity, and really just playing around. I mean, essentially that's it, just playing around, having a look at what might evolve from it. You know, drawing's a fairly kind of organic process. A lot of students I teach, well, certainly in the past, draw with this kind of very focused attention. And whenever you're doing anything like sketching, particularly like any artists out there who use sketchbooks, it's always good just to have a doodle. Just let your imagination just spill out onto the page. Unfocused drawing, I mean, that's really what I call it. It's just unfocused. It's not really, you're not really on a mission with this. You're just drawing and just seeing what ideas arise. Yeah. Your subconscious is a wonderful thing. It can throw up things that you ordinarily would not think of if you allow yourself just to relax and just see where the drawing takes you. Sometimes the drawing will take you on the journey, as opposed to you drawing with a purpose. Something else kind of takes over, and you draw things, and afterwards you kind of go, "Wow, what happened there? I didn't intend to draw that." And that's, again, without getting too kind of psychological, it's that part of your mind that is unfettered in a way. It doesn't really think about. It's not really thinking consciously. And I'm guessing this is what they call the unconscious. This is the unbridled imagination, where you're just drawing and ideas bubble up out of that unconscious onto the page, and you arrive at some quite interesting ideas. So when you're drawing things like this, you're drawing faces, it's good to kind of use, it's kind of like ordered chaos. You're kind of using structure, but at the same time implementing your imagination. So just coming to the end of this sketching now, I'm just putting some finishing touches to this face, playing around with the opacities, changing the width of the line, putting more details in there, and just seeing where it goes. So that's pretty much it, really. Just have a look at this video again, try your own sketching, see how it works out, think about structure, always be going from the general to the specific, try not to focus too much on details, so structure and then details, and then you can just keep going. So with these drawings, I kind of taper off with them. I just sort of continue working on them. There's no real end to this. This is, in a sense, this is just a beginning. So what you can see here is I'm just really doing what I did with the first part of this video, which is starting to put shading in, things like that, and continuing that way. So hopefully this has been useful for you. Be sure to give me a like if you like this video, and more videos to follow hopefully soon. Hope you've enjoyed it, and look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks a lot.